Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Haphazard Hardcore, the series where a Bedrock player tries to avoid death. But before our life succession, we need to work on the implementation and activation of an iron farm. Hopefully soon we'll have iron galore in today's episode of Haphazard Hardcore. Unfortunately, iron farms need a lot of villagers, and villagers need a lot of resources. Resources that we don't really have at the moment. So we're gonna keep on farming until we wrangle out some of our wares. One villager necessity is beds. We need to grow our village by an exorbitant amount. We need a minimum of 20 villagers over at the iron farm, and right now we only have about 10, maybe 12 villagers in total. Beds and food grow a village, so that's what we're gonna be farming for starters. Our villagers have been very busy. We've got a bunch of babies bouncing about, but as they're born, we're gonna boat them up and tug them to the iron farm. It's important to indoctrinate them as infants, that way they only know iron farm. Since we don't have any iron for rails or minecarts, we're gonna entice them over with rope and boats, and the promise of a better future and a stable career. But in reality, we're just gonna shove them into a little box where they'll work for the rest of their life producing things for me. And they'll do it happily because society's told them that it's the best way to live. But little do they know, I made their society only to benefit me. You see, they work for everything they have, and I have everything they work for. Bye-bye. I hope you have a superb life of servitude. Brilliant. Now we need to soak the feet of our slaves. I mean, employees. Unfortunately, with our salaried servicemen inside of their cubicle, we couldn't place down the water, so I'm gonna need a dispenser, and unfortunately, I don't have the string for it. After some unspeakable acts involving a couple cats, I managed to procure a couple things of string. Now we're gonna go ahead and swamp the stall of our breadwinner with our dispenser. Adding the water here is just going to reduce the risk of him linking to another workstation. We don't want our iron farm operators job hopping. We've lumped up a league of laborers to launch into production with our iron farm. We need about 5 more helping hands around here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of interviews. And after some people are procured, we should be able to give it a test run. Scratch that. I need to put in the kill chamber and the beds before we do anything else. Luckily for me, there is a lava pool right back here, which is what we will be using to kill the iron golems. If we kill the iron golem directly, the villagers won't like that, and that's slowly gonna get them to stop producing iron golems. So we need to unalive them by passive means, like lava or campfires. In this case, we're using both. Since we want our workers to be as productive as possible, we're gonna give them a place to sleep. Not that they'll ever use it though. So we're gonna place their beds right above the production floor, just out of reach. We are only gonna place down 20 beds. We only want 20 workers. If we get any more than that, they might start unionizing. That's gonna break the farm. We don't want that. We want production, production, production. No matter how much it kills them, no matter how exhausted they are, we don't want them working together at all. The less we give them, the better for us. I've got the base of our kill chamber ready to go with our campfires, and I've flooded the top platform. In theory, if everything went well, this should be spawning iron golems. In practice, it performed poorly. I think we're having a linking issue with our villagers, so I'm gonna go ahead and re-roll all of their workstations. It seems these drudges are being a little bit defiant and they need some disciplinary action while we're at it. Villagers in Bedrock can be a little bit finicky when it comes to workstation binding. This is honestly something I probably should have done from the beginning, but I just didn't want to deal with it. And the way that we re-roll these workstations is by placing down the workstation and looking for the glowing particles with the villager that it's associated to. These villagers already know who this workstation belongs to, they just don't want to tell us that. So we have to go around this entire thing, find who binds to this workstation, and in this case it's this fella here, so we're going to break the workstation and place it right next to him where he can reach it. Doing this is going to give this village a 75% work ratio, which will then start spawning iron golems. In principle, that is how this farm functions, and in practice, it works quite well. I always come back to this design because it's one of the best for Bedrock. So now that we figured out the issue with the farm, which was in fact the villagers binding to the wrong workstations, and we now have iron golems spawning, I've reflooded the spawning platform, and this should be a working iron farm. Now that we have a steady stream of iron, we are going to work on our collection system. So we're going to grab as much as we can and make some hoppers. We're going to place them directly underneath our campfires and finish up this AFK farm. I have put some glass over the front of this kill chamber just to keep everything inside, and I've also made myself a handy dandy little AFK chamber here, so we can stay here for hours and not have to worry about the impending doom that lurks on every other side of this box. But now that it's fully functional, I'm gonna stay here for a bit and see how much iron we get. I have completely lost track of what day we're on, but we can pretty easily figure this out with the amount of iron we got. I know about the average rate per hour that this farm will give us, and we know exactly how long the day and night cycle is for Minecraft, so we can figure out using the iron that we have how many hours we AFK'd, and then we can divide that time by the time it takes to go through a day and night cycle. And with that formula, we can figure out exactly how many days we've spent AFKing. We have 1,605 iron ingots total. This iron farm produces 400 iron per hour. So when we divide 1,605 by 400, we'll get about 4 hours. 60 minutes in an hour, 4 times 60, 240. The Minecraft day and night cycle is about 20 minutes, so 240 divided by 20 is 12 days. Which means today is the 59th day in our world. Now that we have a pretty sizably medium iron reserve, we're gonna do all the things that are convenient with more iron, like moving villagers and doing things with villager trading halls. We need a lot more librarians to abuse, and we need quite a bit more enchantments. So we're gonna condense our librarians into one area and then start work on getting some more enchantments from more librarians. Since our librarians are our favorite kind of villager, they're gonna get special treatment. We're gonna keep them separated from the rest of the village and give them nicer things like minecarts and lecterns. This sure has turned into a lively village now. Look at all the little tykes running around. There appears to be an uprising this morning. Look at them banding together trying to fight the system. How adorable. I've gone ahead and abducted more children from the village in hopes to give them a profession that serves me fine, but they've been a bit rebellious recently. I'm gonna have to make an example out of this guy if he bids a bookshelf one more time. You had your chance, you blew it. Now nobody else will make your mistakes. I've managed to procure a couple more villagers, but now we gotta keep them organized, so I'm gonna make them a little chamber just to keep all of them together. That's much better. Now we can actually get to them and trade with them. Our librarians are looking lovely in their containment unit. I've also gathered up a few more, and our villager trading hall is well on its way to being complete. I think I went a little mad with power in today's episode. It was fun though, little maniacal, tyrannical even. Putting my evil acts aside for a moment, if you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give it a like, a share, and if you want to see some more of my content, I've got a playlist here, a link to my channel, and another video for you to watch. I hope you enjoy. Goodbye.